What is the most powerful trait we have? You need power, speed. Let your imagination do the rest.
Undisputed, the Mexican Monster Pack out now.
Boxing King Media, Mr. Gareth A. Davies, thank you for coming on today to discuss the weekend's topics. You good, Gareth? You recovered from?
I'm very good, thank you. Very good. Just taking a little break at the moment, but about to go on holiday. But this is a big story today, which is why you've contacted me and why we're having a chat.
Yeah, I just wanted to get your reaction because obviously, you're a good person to get a bit of an insight from. I know we spoke the other day and it was like common knowledge about, the late arrival of Daniel at the show. But obviously today it's been a big story today. But I want to point out as well, so people know the context of it. Obviously we're talking about fight night, Daniel Dubois, Alexander Usyk, quarter past 8, Daniel Dubois arrives at the venue. But obviously, we found out since there was some sort of issue, and again, this is all reported by Spencer Fearon and Simon Jordan, not from Team Dubois. That apparently they arrived. There was a party at the house earlier on, and then some of this entourage from the party came to the venue. They couldn't get in, they couldn't get tickets, and then apparently, allegedly, Daniel's dad said, "Well, the fight's off," and they attempted to leave the venue, and then they came back an hour or so later. I don't know the exact times, but either way, he was late, and this is what's been circulating today. But apparently, I've also found out this house party before the fight actually happened in the AJ fight as well. So it's worth putting that out there as well. So it's not something new. So what do you?
A few things there really to go over. One is that um, yes, I'd seen footage before, but post AJ's fight of celebrations, gathering, if you like, a meeting of minds around Daniel Dubois that he seemed to enjoy and celebrate with, almost like a gathering of extended friends and family. I got that. I've seen that. But in the context of him winning against Anthony Joshua, obviously it makes sense. If it's true on the other side of what you're saying, that one of the reasons why he was late to the arena was based on people not being able to get into Wembley Stadium, that seems ludicrous to me. As the final few hours in prep, if it is true, the final few hours of preparation before he stepped in against Alexander Usyk were sat in traffic, and a refusal for the event to go ahead seems almost ludicrous when there were 90,000 people in the stadium waiting for him to walk into the Colosseum, if you like. I've seen the footage in the last 24 hours of the house party out in Essex, at the Dubois household where his dad has moved his family to. It does look a little chaotic. It shows Daniel in one of the clips looking pretty happy about it all, grinning and smiling in his green top. But it does, from the outside, from the layman, it doesn't look like the perfect preparation to fight for the undisputed title. And certainly the lateness of the hour in arriving, maybe they didn't want him there for too long sitting around. But it seems a little late to me. While Alexander Usyk's sitting in his dressing room getting his hand wraps, they're driving around, where hand wraps done, they're driving around Wembley, still rowing over. You were saying people were due to come in and didn't have tickets.
Again, this is all allegedly. The people that were at the party, they didn't have tickets for the show, and apparently they were trying to get them in, and obviously they couldn't. So there was a refusal for the fight, allegedly.
Well, it's almost unbelievable, really. It's almost unbelievable to hear that. Whether it's true or not is another matter, and I'm sure it will come out in the next couple of days, because I'm sure either Frank Warren or Stan Dubois or Don Charles or one of these guys. Don Charles would have been there waiting for him, presumably. I'm assuming Don Charles wasn't in this entourage as well. I haven't seen any footage of him at the gathering. I mean, it looked fairly chaotic, but so did the other one with AJ, by the way, where they were all singing. There was reggae on. I think I've read there were DJs at this party on Saturday afternoon. It could be a wish party that they've gathered, and he gets something out of this. We know that Stan, his father, Dave, has exerted a lot of control over the boxing career of his son. And who knows, this may have happened every time before he fights. But it's certainly a very interesting talking point. But what's happening here is people are picking over the bones of potentially why Daniel didn't perform better than he did, why Daniel didn't win, why Daniel didn't become the undisputed champion. But let's be honest about this. He got beaten the first time, Boxing King Media, by Alexander Usyk in August 2023 in Roslav. And he's been beaten again by him this time. People were asking the question, has Usyk declined? He was brilliant on the night. It's not that Dubois didn't go hunting for him. It wasn't that Dubois... I know some people have been overly critical of his performance, but it was Usyk's brilliance that didn't allow him to get into the fight. He still tried to walk him down. He still tried to land his punches. It wasn't like he wasn't making any effort. And Dave Allen, working alongside me on Saturday night, had described all week what it's like fighting Alexander Usyk. He dismantles you, he demoralizes you, and that's what happened in the fight. The brilliance of Usyk. I'm not sure a house party or not having a house party would have made a difference in terms of the outcome of the contest last Saturday night. Obviously, I backed Usyk to win. I chose my prediction was that Usyk would win on points or by later stoppage, 9 rounds to 12. But to see the house party as the reason is one thing. The lateness to the arena is not perfect preparation in my view. Less than perfect preparation, and I understand why people are very critical of that. Daniel doesn't show a lot of anxiety in himself. Whether it would have been the cause of whether he doesn't care or not, we don't know in that sense. But that's less than perfect, without any doubt whatsoever, with no question at all.
Well, I've looked at some of the footage of his arrival. None of the trainers are with him. It's just his dad, the manager, and a few people. I'm not sure who they are, but the trainers are not with him. So I would assume they were already in the changing room.
Yeah, well, I'll make the same assumption with you then, based on that. I can't imagine that Don Charles would have agreed or approved of them arriving at 8:15 for a 10 o'clock start. But
I did ask.
let's see.
I did ask Don this when I interviewed him on the day of after the fight. I interviewed him at 2 o'clock in the morning, and he was very kind to give me some of his time. And he did say he's more than happy for a fighter to arrive 2 hours before. Dominic Ingle, obviously, he's done numerous corners. He said to me today, it's ultimately up to the fighter. He said he's done corners. People rock up 90 minutes before because that's what I'm happy with. So, but obviously,
some fighters don't want to sit in the dressing room for 2.5, 3 hours because of nerves, because of keeping themselves not in a closed room for a long period of time. I thought he looked fine on his walkout, by the way. I thought he looked very relaxed. It looked like he was enjoying the occasion. Obviously, Alexander Usyk came out as the conquering hero, and you know what it was like on the night. There was enormous support for Alexander Usyk. But at the end of the day, it just came down to the brilliance of Alexander Usyk on the night, and what he's been able to do spectacularly in his career. I would say that, given that I chose Usyk to win, but he's an all-time generational. He's a generational great and an all-time great in my view. Still 6'7", or I think I've got him 7th best ever heavyweight of all time. Mike Tyson just ahead of him, who probably beats him in his first, in his prime, in 5 or 6 rounds of Mike Tyson. When he was in his prime, could have beaten anyone, frankly. But I've got Lennox Lewis, Muhammad Ali, Joe Louis, Larry Holmes. Who am I missing there?
I'm trying to think. You said Lewis, didn't you?
I think he might have beaten Evander. I've got Evander at 8. Usyk at 7.
Okay. Well, the other element of it is, do you think,
Oh,
and this
you're going back to the pre-party and all of
no,
that,
no,
yeah.
no, not the part of the training side of it. Uh, Obviously, a few people have suggested that, the trainers could get the chop, and obviously, it would seem quite unfair when that training team was the British Boxing Board Trainer of the Year 1 fight ago. Could you see that happening? And if it does, what do you make of
Well,
it?
I mean, anything could happen with the decisions of Stan Dubois and Daniel Dubois. I think Don Charles and Kieran Farrell have been very good for him. You know, having visited the camp on many occasions, been around Spencer Oliver. I'm sorry, having visited the camp on one occasion and being around Spencer Oliver, who went there on many occasions. We know how forthright and perspicacious, meticulous, if you like, they were over the preparation of Daniel. How they'd got into him mentally as well. Where the setup had been created up in those barns overlooking Wembley. All of that worked perfectly for Anthony Joshua. But this is a guy that's lost twice in his rise again to Alexander Usyk, who hasn't lost to anyone. And as I say, I've just been talking about him as potentially in the top 10, certainly in my thinking, top 7 heavyweights of all time. And people will bark and carp at that because, the fact he's fought Joshua twice, Fury twice, Dubois twice. They'll compare that with other eras and say, well, what about the Foreman, Ali, Holmes, Frazier era, and look who they had. They had Shavers and many others around at the time as well.
Gareth, what did you make of
But just on that point, just on the point about them being sacked, I don't see that because I think Don Charles was really good for him because he's 3-2 in terms of victories and losses in that period, but Don Charles got him through perhaps the biggest fight of his career, Anthony Joshua, as an underdog at Wembley, and he did do the deed that night. A brilliant performance. So I don't see it.
What did you make of the corner work on the night? Again, there's been a lot of conversation about that, how Dan was looking at his dad rather than his trainers. I know that has worked previously, but obviously when it doesn't go your way, people tend to highlight them sort of moments. What do you make of that?
Well, that. Look, his dad had him running around the estate, doing press ups, preparing him at the age of 7 to be a heavyweight boxer. You can't expect suddenly after 20 years being around his dad, who he loves, with whom he spent all this time, who's his psychological scaffolding, a pillar for him, a pillar for his beliefs. He's not going to suddenly change overnight. Look, it's not ideal. It's not the conventional way of doing boxing. I mean, Dave Allen with us on Talk Sport was very critical of it the other night. As he said, if my dad was in the corner, I'd be pulling my hair out. But it's just the way they do it. There isn't one way of doing it. That's just their way. If his dad had come to the corner and...
Is it fair to say it worked?
It has worked. It worked against Jarrell Miller those few fights ago, and Frank Warren said, "Come on, Stan, talk to Daniel, get him going." So, it's his father, and some people have those relationships. And his dad is his driver. He's been his sergeant major. He's been his counsellor, his mentor, if you like, in lots of ways. So it wasn't going to change overnight. And yes, he does look to him when things aren't going right. Things did not go right in that fight. Alexander Usyk, as I said, his performance was extraordinary. It reminded me of watching Floyd Mayweather when he fought. That watching them fight, their awareness of the danger for themselves is so extraordinary. We watched that fight knowing, yes, Usyk was dominating and winning every round, but there were still dangers in there for him. He had a 17.5 stone man coming trying to take his head off, and he dealt with it brilliantly. So, we're just picking up on the negatives of the performance. I insist, from my perspective, it was down to the brilliance of Usyk. He even took a punch on the belt, didn't he?
Yeah.
On the band of his shorts, of his boxing shorts. So it is what it is. People are picking the bones out of things that didn't go right for Daniel Dubois, I think, and churning them up. I think it's understandable because it was a dominant one-sided performance, and we wanted more out of Daniel Dubois potentially. But I didn't experience lots of people leaving the arena really unhappy with Daniel Dubois. It was more that they were delighted that they'd witnessed greatness on the night.
Yep, and I think I liked how you kind of summed that up there. I think it's worth highlighting and remembering what Daniel Dubois has done and the way he beat Anthony Joshua, Jarrell Miller, Hergovich as the underdog in all three fights. And hopefully we see
With
him.
his father sitting near the team as well, sitting ringside always. So
It's worked before, and unfortunately, when it doesn't work, it turns into a negative story. And again, like I
yeah,
said, I'm asking you about it because it's a talking topic, but I will also highlight the other, aspect to it as well. That's pretty much it. There's so much more we could talk about in regards to the fight and the future moves. I think it's best waiting to see what Usyk announces before we comment on that any further. The last thing, this is
well,
what.
the thing is about look, for me just to comment on that, Usyk's got the world at his feet. WBO mandatory is next. Frank Warren told me on Saturday night. It's Joseph Parker.
That is
You've got Ajit Kabayel and Fabio Wardley, who wasn't there by the way, which was interesting. I didn't see him there anyway.
He's had a,
Everyone else was there.
he's had a new baby, so he might be busy with it.
Oh, congratulations, Fabio Wardley! If you ever see this, brilliant stuff, fantastic. That obviously Parker's the first in sequence. Parker is a little bit down on his luck in terms of who he's going to fight. He was in the ring afterwards. Jake Paul, I was there when Jake Paul was calling Usyk out for an MMA fight, and I spoke to Joseph and I asked him what he said. He said, "Look, you do the MMA fight, but me first. If Usyk fancies that, I think that fight could happen in the UK, by the way, because they're both popular with British fans. I don't see any sense in it going anywhere else unless it went to Riyadh, which it could potentially do. I don't see the Fury trilogy next, but it's a really big commercial fight still. I want Fury and Joshua to fight, even though most people seem to think that isn't going to happen now. And I thought Joshua was notable by his absence on Saturday night as well. It would have been great if he was there. But Usyk could walk away now, and for me, everything's fulfilled. He doesn't need a third fight with Tyson Fury unless he wants to put a load of money back in his bank account. He doesn't need to prove anything necessarily against Parker and Kabayel, but if he beats those two, for me, he's done the era completely.
Yep, literally. That's pretty much it, Gareth. But before I let you go,
Yeah.
we've
Big
moved.
curveball coming now, yeah?
There is, yeah. So the fans Q&A and opinions, etc. We moved it to the end of the interview now, just to save the people moaning about it at the start. So some of these are statements, and I will warn you.
Well, they're moaning about it at the start now, are they?
Yeah, so we've got to put it at the end. But still, a lot of people are watching it because I've got some comments here. But like I said,
Okay.
they're not all positive. So
Oh dear. Oh dear.
so let's have a look. Gareth spouting nonsense as usual. The mullet and the dated Bono shades seal the deal.
Well, it's not a mullet for a start, so get your facts right. I mean, I don't have a mullet, I just have long hair. And the fake Bono shades, was it? The dated Bono shades.
Yeah.
Really? I mean, what, blue tinted glasses, that's all they are.
Okay.
Well,
So
what am I supposed to say to that? I'm not good. Well, I shouldn't look like me, you know?
we've got Hula Hoop. You might regret this comment. My arse is more of an expert than Davies, and my arse predicts Dubois wins by stoppage.
Well, there we go. Nothing needs to be said there. Go on, hula hoop, on your way.
Exactly that.
Who doesn't love a hula hoop, though?
Yep, classic. Dougie Roberts says, no idea who Gareth A. Davies is, but he doesn't strike me as somebody who knows a great deal about boxing. And then somebody's responded to that. He's some random posh guy.
Oh, dear. Well, I've been covering boxing for 35 years. I've always had an interest in it. Bruce Lee, Muhammad Ali. I know Bruce Lee wasn't a boxer, but Bruce Lee and Muhammad Ali were huge childhood heroes of mine. And yeah, I mean, people just don't look back in time anymore, do they? But that's if people don't think I know anything about boxing, that's completely up to them. We're in a sport of opinions, and you know, I've studied it for a long time. I study the sport, as you know. I mean, I'm at a lot of events. I spend a lot of my time around the sport. So it's my working life, and if they don't think I know anything about it, then that's up to them.
This one, it's written quite well. This is somebody who clearly likes writing. The
Yeah.
classism oozes from Gareth, armchair observers, as if he is in the ring taking the punches himself. It's not surprising that he can't discern his brown nosing from a long instilled social conduct taught to him and his peers on the playing fields of Eton, of how to dismiss the plebs and ingratiate with the influential.
Then what's the last bit? And ingratiate?
With the influential.
Well, I mean, look, I wear many hats in the sport. I do radio, I do TV, I do newspaper, I do podcasting, and you know, I do these interviews for the YouTube media as well. So the it's a very small industry, and as you know yourself, you there's a fine line between criticism, being overly critical, and being, you know, overly sycophantic, if you like. And you know, I was on stage with Tyson Fury on Saturday at the Fan Fest at Gold Stars Fan Fest at Box Park before the event. I'm not going to be sticking it to Tyson Fury on stage when I've been given the honour, and it is an honour and a privilege to be close to that person, find out what's going on in the background, have a quiet word with them, speak to them about what's going on in their life, what they're doing at the moment, and then as well be public facing with them, or the same with Ajit Kabayel or Hamza Shiraz and his family. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes in the sport, and you know, it's very important to be diplomatic. It's very important to cultivate relationships with everyone in the sport. And as I've said all along, that I'd rather be 95% informed of the facts that are going on behind the scenes, and have people trust me to tell me things that I don't necessarily have to reveal, up to say 65, 70%. You know, I'm not the sport's biggest newsbreaker, but I do know the creeping ivy behind the scenes, because what I believe is I give an informed opinion on the sport. As for the classism element of it, no, I just admire the warrior code. I admire warrior tribes. It's a study in human nature for me, in many ways, and I am fascinated by it. It's something that's been in me a long time. So there's my long-winded
That was very
answer to that one.
yeah,
What's that?
longer than the actual bloody statement. I thought.
There you go. There you go. Look, you're having a pop now.
So Ben Jepson says, I love the Gareth comments. He takes them very well. That's a positive one. Sean says, I like Gareth. He has excellent knowledge and he writes well too.
Wow. Thank you.
Alex Moran says, to be fair, Gareth, at least he wasn't slagging off Conor Ben before talking to him, unlike the Cobra. And I'm saving the best one till last.
Oh, here we go.
And I can't believe I didn't pick up on this, Gareth.
Go on.
So the last,
Come on then.
the last interview I got with you, I think we posted it on Friday or Thursday of Fight Week last week. Somebody, Manhattan Murphy, has picked up at 10 minutes, 33 seconds, Gareth squeaks a fart out. And I watched it back. You did as well.
When was that? In the last interview?
Yeah, I'm actually going to play the clip now so people can see it.
Precious, and she's the kind of fighter. I was saying it to someone the other day.
Oh.
I think it was. Oh well, where was that? When we spoke a couple of days ago.
Yeah, if you go to 10:33 on that video,
Where was that interview? Where did we do that interview?
I think it was last Monday.
Was it in person or?
It was on Zoom, but it was posted.
No, I didn't. I don't fart during interviews.
Well, you're gonna have to see it, Gareth, because the evidence is damning.
I think I'd remember if I farted while we were doing an interview.
Well, the look on your face and the sound all kind of married.
Well, I don't recall it, and I don't believe it, and I think this is just bag of wind, basically, that you're putting
Well,
out there right now.
it's been played in this video, and I'm going to send you the clip as well.
Go on then. Well, I deny that. I deny that that I farted while we were on air. I'm afraid I don't remember it, and I don't. I'm sure I'd have remembered that.
Well, unfortunately, mate, the video evidence will say
I
otherwise.
think you will put some sound to it and embellish it.
I had no idea. I just saw this comment and I went back and watched the video. You actually did as well. I watched it a few times. I'm like, geez,
Well, go over it with forensic care then, please.
absolutely disgusting, Gareth. But yeah, thank you very much for your time, and
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. Great to see you. Thank you for having me on.
let's see how this story evolves in the next few days.
Yeah, well, we can come back to it if there's more involved. I mean, obviously, I'm fascinated with the fallout from it, you know. But again, my emphasis is the brilliance of Usyk rather than the lack of effort or the quitting of Daniel Dubois. He was just done.
Thank you very much, Gareth.
All right, pleasure. Cheers.
The most powerful trait we have. You need power, speed. Let your imagination do the rest.
Undisputed, the Mexican Monster Pack out now.